All right, thank you for being here. How long have you been involved in wellness?
Well, I was one of the ones who was pushing to bring wellness to the federation. So I've been in the wellness division since the beginning, since 2020. Right there.
So you were always a wellness competitor.
I was a bikini competitor actually
So
for
as
5
a
years.
bikini competitor, did you have to try to train down to fit the criteria?
Yes. I have to lose muscle every time I was competing.
And that was the issue. So many girls would come to us, and they would then either overtrain or underfed, unhealthy, and then wellness appeared.
Yes.
And now it's created a safe place for so many folks to compete.
Yes.
Yeah, very cool. So up through the ranks, what's next for you?
So for me next, 14 days to Arnold's Festival. Thank you.
Absolutely. Very cool. What's the last event you did?
So last event I did, it was San Antonio Championship Pro, but before that I did Olympia as well.
Sure. So, Bill, would you talk about what you guys would like to see from the judging panel?
Yes. With the wellness division, first thing we want to talk about is the conditioning. Okay, we want it a little leaner than the bikini. So we want to see separated, clean lines through the muscles. We don't want striations. We now want some quad separation.
So, is this a division that's not so much based on balance?
There is no balance. Every other division, one of the most important things is top to bottom balance, front to back balance. When we get to wellness, we want a bottom dominant physique. Upper body wise, a little more muscle than bikini. Not quite as much as figure maybe, but somewhere in that range in between.
So when it comes down to conditioning, that's the all-important question. How hard would you like to see them?
We want to see clean separation. We don't want striations. Now when we start talking about the hamstrings, we can see a little bit of the lines coming through the hamstrings now.
A little more separation than bikini.
Correct. And then not quite as lean as figure.
So when they do, for instance, did you face the rear, do a rear stance? So when they do a rear stance, you want them to move their hair or keep it?
Keep it covered.
We don't need to see that muscularity.
We don't need to.
If someone swipes it, do they run the risk of showing too much muscularity?
They can. You know what I mean? We don't want to see the lats flared out with that big shoulder to waist taper like we do it in figure. The other thing is here you can start to see more separation through those hamstrings.
So at 2 weeks out from the Arnold, what does she need to do heading into that?
She looks like she's pretty much right on track.
Yeah.
Just keep doing what she's doing right there. You know, you can already start to see that separation, you know, in the hamstrings there.
Yeah.
So just bring that in a little bit tighter, a little bit leaner, so there's a clear glute hamstring tie-ins. You know, you can see the definition in the hamstrings. We do want the legs balanced front to back. You know, when you turn to the side, you hit a side pose. We want to see the quad. We want to see a hamstring development back there. So we want front to back balance in the legs, just not top to bottom balance.
For the wellness competitors, what's the biggest mistake you've seen?
Biggest mistake is poor posing. You know, when it comes down to it.
Is there too much movement on stage or within their presentation?
You still don't want a lot of movement. Once again, now the wellness girls are doing quarter turns. So we get to see them on all four sides. This front pose is very important. Here, we want to see the separation in the quad. Some girls, if they're too lean, you don't want to put a lot of weight on that front foot where it'll show striations. You know, right there you can see where the quad separates. That's good. We don't want to see any striations through those quads.
So in this stance here, she got great posture.
Yes.
And the mistake, I think, if we've seen any, is that they lean too far forward.
Right.
Lean forward, please, like that, thinking that they need to pose to the judges, but that diminishes their look.
Right. Now, the thing is, with wellness, they have a little more freedom in that front pose. They have to do something straight on. You know, they can put different legs forward. They have a lot of freedom. So you really want to nail this front pose down. It's one of the more important ones, and it's almost more like the older bikini poses.
So you talked about degree of conditioning, and sometimes their hair can be used as an accessory, because if she winds up getting too hard on top, you have to be careful showing how much straps, how much muscularity. Maybe she can use her hair to cover that.
Correct. And we do see a lot of girls that are balanced top to bottom in this division. You know what I mean? You really, if that gets to be the case, you really want to limit that upper body training sometimes and try and downsize. When it comes to the leg size, the glute size, you want the legs in balance. They can get too big also and overpower, you know? But at that amateur level, when we're talking to most girls, they really can't get that to grow enough at that amateur level, because a lot of them are just getting into it, switching from a bikini or a figure background and trying to transition into that. You know, at that amateur level, you really want to try and grow those legs, quads, and glutes as much as possible.
Let's bring Becky Clawson in, please. Becky's one of our top head judges in the NPC and IFBB Pro League. So, as a judge, hair curly or straight?
Either. I think what Daraja said earlier is true for this division too. Whatever you feel most confident with is what's important. I think if you look at our women's divisions lately, especially bikini and wellness, you see a wide variety of how the hair looks.
So is there a situation where a girl would actually swipe her hair in wellness?
No.
Only no reason to.
Nope, hair on the back.
No.
Again, we're looking at this predominantly. It's not even so much the silhouette that we look for in bikini, because again, it's not about balance between upper and lower body. We're looking at this.
Sure. Face front, please. What do you look for in shoes? Clear or a lot of bling?
I personally like something more simple. I think, again, it is dependent on the personality, what you want. I think more bling can be a little distracting, especially I've seen lately, they put colored rhinestones.
I mean, they come out on stage, and obviously you're sitting there, and the first thing you see is their feet. So does too much bling become distracting?
Yes. I shouldn't be looking at the feet. You know, it's really just to prop yourself up and position your physique in the way it should look so we can see you at your best. So I don't want to be staring down at your feet.
You guys as judges, does it matter how high their heels are? Does it matter how high their heels are?
No. 4.5 to 5 inches on the heel is what's going to prop you up best to make your legs look the best. Any more than that I would not do. The platforms just make it worse and harder for you to walk typically. And again, that creates kind of a distorted
But more to the point, they seriously need to be able to walk in these
yes.
comfortably.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is the big thing. If you're stumbling around out there, it's going to destroy your stage presence anyway.
With the wellness suits, is it okay if they wear the bikini kind of connectors, or do they need to go fabric?
Either is fine. I've seen girls switch back and forth. I think the thing for wellness, even more than bikini, is it's almost like a V cut, and whether you have connectors or fabric, it's that V shape, because especially here, we want to highlight the tight waist. So she's got a V line coming up here, and then you can really see the flow and the shape of the legs from there. It just creates that crazy shape with more of a connector or suit fabric or connector higher on your hip.
When do we try to emphasize that any accessory from shoes to bracelets to earrings should amplify them? When do those things get out of control to the point that it becomes a distraction?
Again, I think sometimes if you go with colors, that can be too distracting. Anything dangly on bracelets is too much. Wellness, I think, does have a little bit more flair than bikini, which is fine, but again, you don't want to distract from your physique. It's just about creating that 2-second impression that you're pulled together, you're polished for the stage, but we shouldn't be able to pick out individual parts of your presentation as standing out one more than the other.
Bill, would you put her through the quarter turns, please?
Yes, the other thing I want to say about suits, if myself as a judge remembers your suit, it didn't match your physique somehow. There is no reason I should remember a suit, because I should be looking at the physique, and it should just accent your skin tone and everything else. So nothing distraction. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna start in this front pose. Now this year, you have to have a direct front pose. Last year, a lot of girls were just doing their side pose, readjusting, resetting, and going back to a side pose. This year, you have to have that direct front on pose. So we're gonna start here, gonna go quarter turn to your right. Now once again, with this pose, you wanna keep the shoulders even. You don't want one side higher than the other, or too much higher. You want them close to as even as possible. You know, bring your foot up just a little for me. There you go, right there. You don't want the foot too close usually, because then it almost looks like the bottom's too narrow. So when she keeps that out there, now we can see that inner thigh and everything a little bit better. It's not trapped there. Quarter turn to the right. Once again here, you don't want to bend the knees. You want to push those glutes back hard and be uncomfortable in that lower back.
It gets back to the same as bikini. This posture is everything.
Yes, correct.
Determines between in good taste or not.
Right, and once again, if she bends forward too much, forward, first of all, we're down there, she's going away from us. And when you bend forward, you flatten the glutes out. So you lose depth and it gets wider. So you do not want to bend forward because you're going to lose that depth. And that's the biggest mistake we see from the back. Girls thinking that actually helps them, and it's hurting their physique. Quarter turn to the right. Face front. Now from here, what we would do, we'll turn them to the rear. Face the rear. Walk to that back line and hold. We're going to walk again, and it's very similar, the same walk as that bikini walk. Now we're going to face front and hold. When we hold them here, we're looking for that silhouette. It's a little further back. We get the overall picture a little nicer. And then once again, you're going to walk back to that front line with a purpose.
Becky, come on in here. Let's talk about this walk is everything. I mean, not only do you as a head judge, you and Bill, you use that walk as a part of the comparisons. I've seen it many times where an overall was decided by the success of that walk or failure. So how important is it for them to get comfortable with this walk? Face the rear, please.
It's the deciding factor, especially if it's close. We don't just do this just to do it. That's why we do it in overalls mostly, is if it's close. This is where you can see everything. It's nice and easy to keep your physique in line when you're standing in one place. When you start to move, that's when other things could start to move, and we start to see differences in conditioning.
So they've got to be on a cool walk, but it can't be robotic. And eventually, how many times we've seen it, there are 4 or 6 girls, and invariably it's like, oh, hell yeah, that one. So they've got to get this together.
Yes, and making sure you can walk in a controlled manner that is stylish, that's sexy, that's classy, but also keeping your posture up, keeping your glutes up, making sure when you step, nothing moves that isn't supposed to move. So there's technique to it as well to show your physique in its best light.
Well, the other time this comes into play, and it can't be ignored, is face front, please. A young lady will come over from the diagonal line, and they've got to help us pick them. So they walk over with authority and posture and attitude, do a great presentation. Now it's time to walk back over there, and obviously we're following them to get to the next girl. And if they don't do some slam and walk, it diminishes their look. So, I mean, our judges have been trained that from the second they show up on top of that step until they head back down the stairs, someone's checking them out, and I guarantee someone's watching them. If you slip,
Never let your posture or your stage persona, your vibe slip. Never. I see it a lot. Like you were saying, people get out of the center box, they think they're done. When you're walking back, if I'm trying to decide if you're first or second call out, I'm probably looking at your glutes when you're walking back. Don't drop your hips. Don't let everything go. You always are that confident, practiced, poised person on stage. Every time you can see us, we can see you, and you should be in that vibe.
what suit colors work for you as a judge? To really, when you see a physique pop, there must be some colors that just don't work.
The colors that do work are standard in, like in bikini, the jewel tones are great. I think that you run into issues in wellness. Some girls are getting patterns. You know, there's different wellness suits that you can get. You can get an underwire, you can get a bikini top, you can get fabric, you can get connectors. I think some girls, if you have too much of a pattern, that's distracting. Light colored suits don't really go off very well, that you run into problems with your tan, maybe it doesn't match your skin tone. Those are things I would stay away from and err more toward the side of a bikini suit.
Well, Bill spoke about accessories, and sometimes if we remember your suit, something has gone sideways.
That's a great way to put it. We should not be so focused on what's wrong with your suit that we're missing what's going on with your physique. We shouldn't remember your suit. And that's like when I'm rattling off what not to do, it's because I remember those suits and they were distracting to me and I still can picture them.
Eventually, these things turn into a beauty pageant, even though it's obviously a physique contest. But how much does that come into play for you guys as judges, hair and makeup?
It comes into play a lot for me. I mean, maybe it's just that I'm a female. I know you guys say, oh, I don't really judge from the neck up, but it's just a subconscious cue for us as judges. You want to present a healthy look, and especially in these divisions, wellness and bikini, we want a healthy look. We want healthy athletes. The way you're going to present that is healthy hair, healthy skin, like, you know, a face that's bright and awake, and you look healthy, and the way you do that is through your makeup, your hair, all of that. It should project an image of health and of wellness. That's what we're trying to go for here. So it matters.
Well, isn't it the fact that the dumbest little detail, if someone's got to win, it's going to get close. It may be the walk. It may be someone's got some nasty nails and someone's got some perfect ones. Someone has to win these things. We don't have a tie.
Yeah.
I've never seen a tie.
And the difference at these top national level shows is usually the details, right? Like you can see someone, maybe that second place girl, oh, she's got a great physique, but dang, that first place girl, she just nailed it. Everything top to bottom was there.
It doesn't matter. Even on our regional level here, these ladies are working their rear ends off to get ready. So why not cover every single detail?
And that's true. You can present yourself in a way that you might succeed beyond where your physique is. I feel like I made a career of that. I didn't have a great physique to start, but I did all of the details right so that everything within my control was under control and well presented. So I got a look when I probably shouldn't have and did better than what my physique deserved at the time just because I was prepared and covered all the details.
So in our wellness division, I believe the presentation and comparisons are the same, quarter turns. So let's put her through the comparisons and show them how that should go. And then the fact of the matter is, her presentation should match that.
The other thing is, your first goal is to get in that first call out. So you have to hit all these right to get us to pick you. You know, you only have 4 poses. That's it. So you don't have the luxury of messing any of them up because it could really hurt getting called out. All right, quarter turn to the right. Quarter turn to the right. Quarter turn to the right. Face front. Now, when I want to go over here, I want her to demonstrate a proper presentation for you guys at the NPC level and then at the pro level, because they are different. Your time is different. So could you go right over there, walk right to the box, and then just go through your quarter turns on your own?
So kind of an ease of movement, lack of movement, just enough so that we see her body.
Correct. And she went in that circle, just went like she would. Say you like one side better than the other, turn back the same way if you're in your presentation. You don't have to go in that circle. You want to show us your strongest body parts in that to get us to call you out.
So if you stay right there, I think we'd like to bring up some athletes and put them through their paces.